Okay, cool. So thanks everyone for joining us today. Also for those who are watching this back on our recorded session, feel free if you've got any questions to either wait till the end of the session if you're on this now, or alternatively drop us a message or communicate with one of us here at Traverse. But today we're going to be talking about automation in telco in particular, and how it can potentially obviously help grow your business by 40% and ultimately reduce resources that have been used for manual tasks and streamline your processes a little bit better. But just to dive in a little bit about us, not a sales pitch, we've been working in building automation solutions for multiple sectors for the last 16 years. We help businesses by growing through automation, data and AI solutions. We're going to dive into the problem to start off with. There's quite a few within the telco industry. Certainly sales and marketing being a priority over most areas. When a telco business typically starts off, they pump all of their resource and their products and solutions to help them grow the business into that area, and ultimately leave behind the areas that could be also making them money or saving them money as well. Telco communication is quite reactive when it comes to hiring resource, although resource trackers are always good. Rarely does a business actually sit down and look into solutions that can help them, rather than having to continuously hire in areas of the business. When times get busier, more documents being sent into the business from suppliers, or ultimately there's more administrative tasks to do. A lot of telco businesses over the years, I think it's starting to change quite a lot. I think it's quite expensive to automate, but everything that we do for all of our clients has a business case in the first instance, which enables us to ultimately demonstrate the benefits and the money that companies are going to get in return for looking into automation. Too much effort to implement or change solutions and systems. This is a big area, not on the roadmap, but ultimately a lot of what automation can do is remove that stress and not change systems and stick to what you've got already, so you don't have to retrain staff, and ultimately do the hard work in between and getting your systems to talk to each other. Data integrity and data quality is probably one of the biggest areas that we're picking up on within telco, getting your systems to talk to each other and ultimately pass that data through to funnels that ultimately can make you more money in the future. I want to start in this area. So do you have multiple systems, accounting, sales, marketing? Often what we find is that companies getting the data and the insights to transfer and the systems to be able to speak to each other is quite a difficult thing. By getting these systems to talk to each other, you are removing that human error. I think probably about 98% of the businesses that we've spoken to over the last couple of months are all airing that human error is a big problem for them, and how can they remove that human error, because they're pumping money into administrative staff to recover this information, or to ensure that the data is correct, or the sale is accurate, the commission's all balanced. And ultimately this is a big area that we can really help streamline. And if you were to look into automation, increase in revenue, excuse me, by getting your systems to talk to each other, you're not finding out about a price change direct from the supplier later on. You're not finding out about a contract renewal is up later on because the admin staff have got backlogs. What automation can do in getting your systems to talk to each other ultimately can increase the amount of resell opportunities you've got in there, upsell opportunities, and make sure you're not losing out money directly to the supplier because the prices have changed and you've not notified your client in time. And then ultimately the main thing, by getting your systems to talk to each other and not doing this in a human way, you're reducing that human error. Excuse me. So areas that you could be losing revenue by not automating. we've done a few consultancy sessions lately. The biggest one is retention. Typically, because suppliers, unless you've got direct APIs that notify your agents or operators, they would send this into a centralized email inbox where admin staff, you tend to not have enough, or you're losing it. You're not capturing the emails in time. You're not, capturing that information in time. And then this is a big area where, kind of some companies are losing about 40% of retention based on not being able to capture that information and get their systems talking to each other well enough. A lot of people are, losing revenue because they're hiring too many people for tasks that can be automated, such as the transfer of this data, trawling through email inboxes, communicating directly with suppliers, etc. It's a big, upfront cost of the business, and could end up being a loss if your staff aren't getting to those tasks at the right time. High turnover in staff. We know that administrative roles are, historically not been the most appealing, and retention can sometimes, be as well. Turnover of staff could happen every kind of year to 2 years because staff are just not happy, they're not motivated, and then ultimately you're resourcing more staff, paying out more costs in recruitment costs, and you can continuously filling these bums on seats to ensure that they're getting through the administrative side of things. We talk about a backlog of tasks, or creating a backlog of tasks, and losing control of supply documentation, confirmations, price changes, price amendments, price increases. Especially if you've gone through kind of a peak boom period in 24 months time, when the contract renewals come into play, your inbox could be very full of these renewals that you've got there. If there's been a price increase because your customer has gone over their bill because there's no cap on it, for example, and the supplier sends that through, and you're not picking it up until 2 months later, it's almost too late to then bill the customer directly. I guess the main thing as well, by not knowing that you might be running at a loss with some of your clients, is a big pain, and ultimately could impact the revenue to the business. So what not to do if you're in this position? A lot of companies who are looking to outsourcing or offshoring, and ultimately offshoring and outsourcing is still a cost of the business. It's still humans processing this information. It's still humans picking up on this information, and ultimately you still have to manage it internally. By doing nothing could result in you losing revenue in these areas and just continuing on the same path. Whereas the last 3 or 4 businesses that we've met with, we've identified areas that we can actually capture that revenue early enough for them to make sure that they get it over the line. By buying a generic product, unfortunately, there's a lot of off-the-shelf automation solutions that ultimately would still need training, would still need developing. So the issue is that if you're going to buy a generic product, it could end up costing you more than your current process is costing you now. So make sure you're working with someone who's specifically, working with your systems, your suppliers, and ultimately making sure that it's designed and it meets the needs and standards for you. Every company that we've worked with has different set of rules, different set of systems, different set of suppliers, and ultimately making sure it's set up and designed for you is probably the most important thing. Things that you could do to take control: well, train your team. Human errors are often caused because training is probably not up to the standards it needs to be. Amend the system fields as much as possible to make it easier for your team to capture this information or pass over information, and kind of shorten the flow. Or seek advice from an RPA consultant. I'm just going to talk about one of many usual processes in the telco industry. So ultimately, suppliers tend to have direct feeds into some form of CRM system within the telco industry, where the agent or the operator who's speaking with the customer will ultimately then handle that, and then sell that client in, which ultimately is revenue to the customer. Certain areas that people don't think about is ultimately when you've sold that in, the supplier is going to be sending documentation, invoices, contracts, whatever that is, into a centralized email inbox. But also the supplier is going to be sending price amendments, contract renewals, and everything into an email inbox. The issue in both of these areas is that, again, there's high levels of staff that ultimately are going through all of this and all of the email inboxes and then trying to process them against what's in the CRM system, and then making sure that you can either match up those documents and invoices with your CRM system to make sure that they are correct. Or when it comes to contract renewals and amendments to prices on a month-by-month basis, making sure that they're picked up early enough so you don't lose out on money directly to your clients. We've created a solution that will, certainly for the supplier documents, we can use a robot to cross-reference that against what's in your, extract that information from the email inbox, cross-reference that with what's in your system. If we have a match, we seamlessly then upload that back into your CRM system to say that we have a match. If not, and there's a loss of commissions on these invoices or incorrect information, we can raise that as an exception report so your team can then get on top of that. Other areas that we can help with when it came to the contract renewals, amendments, prices, etc. We can then again, we have a robotic process automation solution that will scan your email inbox, extract that information, compare that against what's in your CRM system, and ultimately raise that as an exception. We can also push that through directly into the CRM system and do further triggers directly through to the agent as well to ensure that your customers are paying the right rates. You're retaining more clients. I think it was a little while ago now, but John, our CEO, worked with a very large telco business and found that they're probably losing about 40% of their retained clients directly to suppliers per year because they weren't getting through the retention or renewal documents quick enough. So therefore, they weren't able to identify or pick up on these renewals when they were due. So therefore, they were losing revenue. By providing kind of automation to the solution, we can ultimately capture them renewals early enough or then price amendments early enough so you can continue to earn money directly through your customer. Other areas that we're helping the telco industry in, so other than document matching, it's a lot more around kind of data and how you're utilizing that data. So we're creating data warehouses for marketing purposes and ultimately being able to communicate with their clients better. Data validation, ensuring that your agents or operators are being accurate by providing quality checks at the point of sale. Data strategy, reporting, which is a big one for the telco industry. Having visibility of profit and losses on the sales, commission balances, ensuring that you can see that certain agents are making more money than others, etc., and enable you to focus on those who aren't making the right sales and ensure that you're kind of streamlining everything. A few of you probably know and have heard of Babel Telco, just a case study of ours. These guys, we did a lot with them around kind of data architecture, data flows, data integration. Ultimately, their story is a little bit different to perhaps normal telecommunication businesses, as this was more around kind of the acquisition piece and ensuring that they had a good roadmap and data strategy when it comes to implementing new businesses into their portfolio. But ultimately, there was a big project here. But from that, we've identified many areas that the telco industry could be making more money and ultimately not, losing out on money. So that's pretty much what we ran through today. I'm not too sure if this has sparked anything in anyone's mind. Anyone's got any questions around kind of automation problems or pieces that they're kind of suffering with at the moment? Perhaps we can help with. I'm sure.
Yeah, Joe, a lot of the kind of clients that I'm speaking to at the moment with telco going into so many other products and services and becoming more of a managed service provider, how will this kind of solution handle so many different products and components?
So can you just elaborate a little bit more, Sean?
So with kind of account management, there's different lengths of contracts, there's different documents that come in, there's different suppliers and
Yeah,
completely different rules and settings. So with there
yeah,
being different teams, how will the automation, communicate between those different operations and kind of account managers probably?
sure. Like I say, it's all customizable. So each supplier would have a different set of rules on how we match the data.
Hmm.
Contract lengths, again, providing that your internal system would provide that data, we'd be able to cross-reference that. Ultimately, if it comes to the retention point of what we were just running through,
Hmm.
ultimately, we're going to be able to pick up on the prices directly from the supplier, therefore be able to push that through to an agent to then handle, add commission differences, etc.
Hmm.
It's more about shortening the length of time and making sure that you don't lose out on opportunities. I think is the big area that we found in telco. But if you're looking to automate in a completely separate department,
Okay.
providing we can extract that data from somewhere, whether that's going through the front end or have a direct API, and then cross-reference that against what's in the system you need to kind of transfer that data to. Ultimately, we
Hmm.
can do it. We have standard RPA solutions for that, which we write ourselves on our own internally built platform, but also we can use AI to automate a lot of the process as well when it comes to reading technical documentation, etc. as well.
Very cool.
Cool. Yeah, I can see that you joined a little bit later on. Welcome. Um, did you have anything in particular you wanted to just that you're going through right now that perhaps you've got any kind of pains or questions around your manual processes?
Yeah, hi there. So I had some issues with the Zoom because I normally use Teams. So
All right,
uh,
it's
um,
always the way.
yeah, no, I think we're on the same. Uh, I think in the group what Sean asked about, we have got numerous suppliers like on mobile and internet services and others. So
Yeah,
uh, we do our own billing. Uh, we are actually a service provider, so we will not network on our own right. So there are certain things. I'm not sure whether your automation or this product fit in. To be honest,
yeah. This isn't necessarily a standard product off the
yeah,
shelf. This is just giving people an idea of our capabilities. This is just a written process purely
yeah,
for telco. When it comes
yeah,
to MSPs, if you're working with multiple suppliers, the data is transferred different based on your product sizes are in different
yeah,
fields and etc. If you have a pain in transferring data, documentation, and you're pumping humans into areas to manually process this information, the likelihood is that we can automate it.
yeah,
And it's about understanding the journey manually for us to
yeah.
then go, okay, we can get robots to do this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Another thing that obviously is a bit above my pay grade because I look after the operations and others. So,
Yeah,
uh, but in terms of sales, we do have a CRM, HubSpot.
yep,
Uh, but the issue is that we had some restructuring, and the salespeople, like the middle managers and the junior sales, are not there. We have like a very senior sales director
okay,
and a sales manager who is new into the industry. So we're struggling with like, just talking about renewable opportunities, getting like other products to be sold to the existing client base. Those kind of things that we I think the automation would help. I must
yeah,
say, but I just because we have like so many different suppliers for a company of our size and our personnel, I don't know where actually in the grand scheme of things where I think it will fit. I was speaking with Sean, I think followed up after Sarah. And I said that this is something that we'll probably have to look into in due course with the MD's blessing, because I think we'll probably have some new staff coming in terms of sales size. But yeah, the bottleneck is within sales. We have been slow to react to some of the renewal opportunities, and also to enhance our base in terms of like offering them more products that we do. We have
Okay.
done we have done
Yeah. So
campaigns in the past, but yeah, it's just like uh,
yeah. So just to give you an example, I'm speaking with someone in a very similar position at the moment. So firstly, your suppliers, do you have certain agents that deal with certain suppliers?
so we have like suppliers which we buy products from. I
Yeah.
don't have any inhibition to like explain where we have one of the biggest suppliers in terms of wholesale, which is Gamma. So they do all sort of different products. So we buy possibly 80-90 products from them.
Yeah.
But we have got very strong relationship with our corporate base,
Yeah.
where they understand that we are not the network, but they want us to bill and manage and look after the aftercare and whatever but we have like other suppliers where we actually only do wholesale mobiles. We have other suppliers we only do connectivity. We have
Yeah.
other suppliers we do IT, and they've all have got their own separate regulations and terms and whatever, and
Sure.
renewal dates and whatever. So it's a bit
Yeah.
complicated.
Sure. No, that makes sense. So my question is though, when a renewal comes through, let's say from one of your suppliers, does that have to then go through to a certain individual? Does it have to go through to the account manager that, or the salesperson that originally sold the contract in? Where does that
Normally it
need
is the
to?
case, but sometimes because there's a changeover and a lot of turnover within sales department. Although the information is there within our CRM, uh, it's not picked up it's picked up in time, but not well in advance to start working on it, because you don't like show up on the last day or like on last month saying, yeah, okay, you like the service, you had the good rates and whatever, but
Yeah,
can we have a re-sign? You have to like work on these corporate ones. I'm talking about
sure. So
uh
we can give so what we've done in the past is almost, well, we can, just exploring out loud here, what you can do is create automation triggers to notify the agents of
yeah,
an outstanding task. Or
yeah,
alternatively, what you could do is also provide any that come in, almost kind of a list of those renewals
yeah.
where they can then
But
be allocated out by
how would
managers.
your automation would be differed? Would be how would you differentiate with the CRM that does more or less like a low end similar kind of a thing as well?
Yeah, but your current issue is that you're not getting to the renewals quick enough. So what I was talking
Yeah,
about is that
yeah,
obviously we could either use your CRM to trigger those automations,
okay,
or we can also create almost a power user overview, almost an exception report, which then gives a manager visibility of all the outstanding renewals that have come in to make sure that they are being dealt with, so they can do sanity checks. Or we could do, as well as pushing that into exception, we can also cross-reference that data again in like a week's time to make sure they've been picked up on, so that we can do almost a flagging system or something like that, where we can give you visibility. I think ultimately the main thing is that you've aired that you're not getting round to all of the renewals, and whether that's because they're just not being picked up on, agents aren't being notified. And it goes back to the same problem, isn't it? We're relying on humans to actually do the job. We can also create automation triggers when that renewal comes in from the supplier. We can create an automation trigger to then actually notify the client your renewal's coming up. Yeah, reply now to book in a time for us to talk about your renewal. So also it's giving the customer directly the opportunity to communicate with you on their renewal as well.
yeah, yeah,
So we can automate multiple areas here to kind of make sure that you're capturing them renewals in a better way.
sure.
Cool. I don't know, Kadir, but I don't know whether we've got any time in, have we, coming up? Kadir? Hello?
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying, I don't know if we booked any time in coming up, have we?
You're talking to me, Khusro.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
No. It's just like a very early stage. I think
Okay,
I got in contact. I think I was contacted by Sarah, and then I think Sean followed up. So we had a chat yesterday. I did say that, obviously I look after the operations. That is something like, my MD and the sales director would like, move it forward. We can have a chat as well
that'd be
coming in
good.
New Year.
Yeah,
But it all depends upon, I think there's some restriction going on in future in terms of the sales side. So until that happens, I think we might not be able to like get the full fruition out of this thing.
that's good.
So yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, well, whenever you're ready, you know where we are.
Okay.
Nikolai, I noticed, or Nikolai, I noticed you joined late. Do you have any questions or any problems around your automation processes at the moment?
No, unfortunately, I was in another meeting. I missed
Okay.
the main part. Sorry.
This will be pre-recorded, so I'll make sure I get one of the team to send it out to you.
Thank you. Thank
Who
you very much.
communicated with you in the first place, Nicholas, just so I know who to send it through?
Thank you.
Was it Sarah that made you aware of the webinar? Okay, I think it's gone. All right, guys. Well, if there's no more questions, we'll leave it there. Anyone that is watching this back on recorded version, then yeah, get in touch and we'll happily answer any questions. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.